we go. He's good. He's going to do it. Land in the helicopter. There we go. Let's see what I got to do here. Hey, Instagram. Well, I say, hey, y'all. It's me, T, from the Pattersons, taking the train to Tibet. Yeah, I was just landing in my helicopter because, that's how I enter. Let me land some more. There we go. Okay, good. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Brother, aren't you wearing a U.S. Coast Guard shirt? Isn't this the U.S. Coast Guard shirt? What's the Coast Guard? Well, I guess the Coast Guard do have helicopters, don't they? They gotta have helicopters. Anyway, I'm not coming in from the sea. I'm actually here in southern India. In fact, this is a Grand Rising report. It is. And I was, and we're in Blue Light, so shout out to Blue Light Brigade. And Blue Light Brigade, let me tell, I gotta transfer it here. Blue Light Brigade, I can't tell you let me tell you what happened. I woke up about 3 o'clock, something like that. And I lit my blue candle. Blue candle, that's the well, I won't say inspiration, but it's a blue candle, right? And I have my other candle lit up here. This is supposed to be a green candle, but it's got a little. That doesn't matter. And I finished the Consaba for this week. I'll say this week. When I started as usual on Tuesday. That's right. Tuesday I wrote something. Wednesday I wrote something. Then all of a sudden it just flooded in. A few hours ago, and I finished it. But guess what? It's to Blue Light. It's for the Grand Risers. See, it has a title here. There's the Kwasaba, then the Kwasaba. And I started to put I started to put it very what it's for, inspiration, whatever. It's for the Grand Risers. That would be the Grand Risers. But specifically in the Grand Risers, it's for the first line is Blue Light Brigade. One of the first 3 words is Blue Light Brigade. As you know, Consaba is like, maybe you may not know. It's a 49-word poem, right? It's the progenitor is Eugene B. Redmond out there, East St. Louis. Eugene B. Redmond, East St. Louis. Miles Davis. People like that. Okay, Bob Antier come from East St. Louis, but St. Louis, right? Who's out there? Dick Gregory. Could be Kirk Vonnegut come from. Well, anyway, a bunch of people. So this is boy, can I read it from here? Let me read it. Let me read the draft. As always, this is the first draft. I do all the corrections and all that stuff. Then I'm gonna put it. Then I put it on the. Then I put it into the phone, which I did already, for spell checks and stuff like that. Then I put it in the book here, right? When it gets in the book, there's sort of semi-official. Then I put it. I don't want to turn around. Then I put it on this other thing with colors and graphic. Don't worry about that part. I'll show you that another time. I'll post it on Instagram. Here's a draft as it reads. This is my first reading, so always, I read a few times, and if I ever have to present it, then maybe it's presented right. It's a poem. People don't understand. A lot of poets, they think they just write something down. I got a poem. No, it takes work. Sometimes it takes weeks. So I got a poem that I'm working on. I've been working on. Darn near, it's got to be 15 years. I've been working on this poem like 15, something like that. Long time. I don't even remember when I started it. Every once in a while I go back to it. Okay, here we go. The poem, the Kwasaba is called Mission Gold. Mission Gold, G-O-A-L. Mission Gold. A salute, Kwasaba. A salute, Kwasaba. Blue Light Brigade be the shock troops, present in every which way for liberté. No discern, for we soar through tragedy. Not to achieve false bended knee, not to come towards a trinket goal, but to clarion call who need hear our war battle be won as destiny. Hey, I write that one up. I sort of like that one. But then again, it has the war kind of feel on it. I'm a warrior. You know my last name means warrior? Okay. Anyway, this is a Grand Rising Report. And what happened in the last few hours, days, whatever, that kind of thing right there. Let me report. Now you see, I have been thinking because thought, speech, action. That's Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And here's the thing. Now here's how it comes to you. Let me try to explain this. Let me give you several. Be non sequiturs. You got to put it together. I used to. I used to teach a thing at the University of Cape Town. Audio drama. I did an audio drama course there, right? And one of the times I was on there's these steps that you can look in, you overlook the Cape Flats, and it's a great view. Sometimes I just sit there and just chill. By the road statue still there? But anyway, it's the steps that lead to the library, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it was like a place that's like, it's really just, I don't want to say solitude, but it's like, if nobody's around, it's really cool, Anyway, some event was happening, and there was this young lady, student, coming up the steps. And for some reason, I just, are you going? Everybody's sort of agog, excited about all this stuff. And so, are you going to go? She said, no, I can't. I'm a master's student. She kept on going. So, I mean, she was focused. Whatever event was happening, she's a master's student. That's what she did. Okay, hold on. Leave that one alone. Let me go back. I had what we call a definitive trip. Definitive trip means a travel thing. So it's the first time I traveled. First time I traveled like really out of the country. Because somehow I guess is Canada considered out of the country? Well, not to me. Out of the continent, you're still on the continent, North America. Anyway, in 1988, I went to for my birthday. So I had this thing. Sometimes for my birthday and for New Year's, I just disappeared. Not disappeared. I travel. I like to travel, right? So this particular birthday, this was 1988. I just hopped on it. I just hopped on a train, Amtrak. That's what's going to Canada, right? So, so I went up there, and for the reason why I remember it, because it's a jazz festival. It was a jazz festival time, so I went there for that. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's the first time out of the country. The next time, the next year, 1989, around whatever, right before, I'll tell you what it was, right before Noriega got deposed, I had a trip. It was a trip for like radio people like that. Who was on the trip? Jeannie Hopper was on the trip. What's the name? Robert Knight was on the trip. Bunch of people. Was Rosen? Bunch of people, political people. And we went to Panama, right? First time really out of the country. I say officially out of when I say off the North American continent, right? And that was a trip that Robert Knight broke away from the group and had a private interview with Noriega. Robert is that kind of person. Let me put it that way. Peace and blessing on his eternal soul. Anyway, so that was that led to a bunch of things. Because by a couple of weeks after that, after Noriega got deposed, I happened to be in the station. This is a whole interesting story. I happened to be in the station when it was like early morning hours. Let's do early morning hours, right? I think who was it? Clara Joy Walker was on the air. Tom Whalen was just about to go on the air, and we got this news, right? Manuel Goldstein, who you know as Manuel Goldstein, the computer hacker people. He was in the station. Just so me, him, Carletta was on the air, and Tom Whalen was about to go on the air. Tom did weaponry, right? And so we heard this happen. All the rooms are locked, man. And I'm going like, oh man, we gotta do something. I guess I was editing in Edit B for some strange reason. I was in Edit B. That's why I was there. I do my editing at night. So we had to actually break into the newsroom. So we broke into the newsroom. I said we. I won't tell you who the culprits were. I would just say we, and we would include me. Because I'm fessing up to it, right? And Manuel, I'm calling him Manuel Goldstein. Here's Eric, but I call him Manuel Goldstein just so you all know, right? He's a computer hacker. He knows that, and he knew if we got a phone line to Panama, as long as we established a phone line, we couldn't get knocked off. So I had just come back, so I had a phone number to the to the hotel I was staying at. So we called down. This was happening, and we got in touch with the concierge who I knew, and we started talking about what was happening. So we were like the first online, whatever, on the scene reporters reporting from WBAI radio in New York, straight through, get on what was happening at the time as far as with the concierge, with this whole person can see, right? So we did this whole thing. Tom Wheeler's program was now on, so we was on the air. And, oh, that's right. I had to rig some. I'm an engineer, or whatever. So I had to get the line from, because I was working at B. We had to have the line from the main control room to edit B, right? It's easy to do that. Then we had to rig a line to the newsroom, which was right across from edit B, right? And that's how we reported live, right? A few hours later, that's when the news team walked. You can't make this stuff. The news. Oh, the big data news team. They're gonna make the news, right? I think Robert was with them at the time. The news team, they come bopping in like that. Oh yeah, Noriega's da da da. They said, oh yeah, okay, yeah, well, we know. So they let them have their thing. But what was it? It was an arts person. I guess the hackers are really, they're like independent, but I guess they're sort of under the public affairs department. Then you had independent Tom Whalen, who's independent because, well, he's not really under any department, but sort of really not public affairs. It's just a producer. Me at arts, I was drama literature at the time, and what was Carletta? Carletta was doing one of those airy-fairy programs. So you had the outliers reported first when Noriega was doing the thing. I just wanted to tell you that. Why was that important? I don't know. I forgot. Okay. So just let you know. Well, so I was traveling, right? Now that had to be 1989 because I was doing No More Radio at the time. That's right. I was doing No More Radio at the time, and we had Chris Brandt, the great poet Chris Brandt. He used to come by Noma Radio once a month, and we do a poetry session. We record it and send it down to Bluefields, Nicaragua, which had a community radio station there, and they, I guess, presumably would air the poetry session that we had because there was a Sister Cities project between the Lower East Side, where, well, Alphabet City, whatever you want to call it, Lower East Side, where Chris was a big to-do there, right? And so we would send this tape down, and then presumably they would air this poetry that that half hour or whatever must have been a half hour, whatever. Maybe it's 45 minutes of poetry because it's like one side of a tape, 90-minute tape, say it's 45 minutes, send it down there. So then I had this idea. I said, oh, I'm going to take a trip. I want to visit Bluefields, Nicaragua, and talk to them, say, hey, blah, 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 you were doing for Noma Radio, da, da, da. So the end of 89, right when 1990 was beginning, I took a trip, right? It's supposed to be 2 months, right? I was still doing No More Radio. I forgot how. I had No More. I had that together. Harold Lucius and Brenda Black were the interns. I had it covered. Somehow I had it covered. I could go for 2 months. I know I was getting a new. I don't know. Something happened, And I was about to get a new position as the production engineer for WBAI. I don't know whatever was happening, right? And so I go on this trip, right? Now, on this trip, I purposely said, remember, this is 1990, right? The internet wasn't a factor then, right? I said, go on this trip. And no newspapers, no radio, no TV. I was just going to isolate myself off, right? Like I want to hear no news, right? Well, ended up, it's supposed to be like a 2-month trip, ended up with like 4 months. In fact, I wrote a postcard. Funny, I wrote a postcard. I said, look, I'm not going to be back in time, The postcard got there after I got back 4 months later. Let's leave that alone. But here's the thing. So basically, I'm sorry. I didn't get down to Bluefields. I didn't get down to Nicaragua. I ended up being in Guatemala and went to. That's where I went to. Did this whole series on Belize and the Garifuna, or Garifuna, however you want to say it. My peoples, just on my father's side, but we won't get into that right now. That's a whole other story, right? So I was in Livingston, Guatemala, and Puerto Barrios, and then, hey, sunrise, hey, sunrise is it, there you go. So a person did it, but then because I didn't know that Belize, that's what I was in Belize, was like a black country. So I'm fascinated and have people look like me. So I did this whole, I did a live audio drama at Belize City, this radio station in Belize City. I came all the way down to all the Garifuna villages, from Belize City, Dangriga, Same Bite, Georgetown, inside there, all up down to Punta Gorda, what's the name, Barranco, which nobody goes to at the time. I did all these stories about the Griffin people farming down like that. Okay, but only 3 pieces of news got through because I wasn't listening to any outside. The only one that the Sandinistas lost the election. 2 that Mandela was freed from prison, and 3 that Buster Douglas beat up on Mike Tyson. Those are the only 3 pieces of news that came through, right? And as it were, those are the only pieces. And you learn that from people like that. It's kind of interesting. So if you isolate yourself, but the whole point of this is, right, that if you take a break from listening to all the thing about the Demis and the puppies and the whatever and the Muskies and the Trumpies and the failed whatever, if you just leave it alone, stop reacting for just a bit, take a break. I suggest 4 months, but who am I, right? And just focus on something else that you're really interested in. In other words, basically say that those people are, whatever's happening, this is ignorance. So ignore the ignorant. That's what it is. So now I'm adjusted. So I'm talking to Blue Light Brigade. Just remember Blue Light Brigade, we have a thing we're doing. So what I'm doing now until I get to the States in May, I have to sort of pay weird attention, a little bit of attention to what's happening in the States because I'm going to be in the States, be there for 2 months. I got to be sort of weirdly up to snuff, but I ain't going to pay that much attention. I'm going to pay attention, but not that much attention. In fact, I listened to WBI by accident in the yesterday morning. Yeah, yesterday morning. I think it was a brief broadcast, whatever. They had a report to and from the listener. Oh, there's another story. I'm sorry, I got to tell you the story. The report to and from the listener. I'm sorry, it might take a long time. Look, we had a Simon, whatever the boy's name was a new station manager, right? And he brought in this guy. He had produced for that a documentary for the Stonewall uprising, whatever, and made him program director. Anyway, I had a little tiff with this new station manager. Well, now you have to understand, engineers and stuff like that, inside people, we always playing jokes on each other. So I had come in one time and I was supposed to engineer or something like that. I said, oh man, we're going to have a report to listeners on tape. I said, oh, okay. But I was coming at the it was like sprung on me, right? So I said, okay, look, here's the tape, report to listen. So I put it up on the TR, ready to go, and I hit the button, nothing on the tape. And I'm going like, oh, well, Simon, there's nothing on the tape. Look, and live on air, but look, see, there's nothing on the tape. So, look, I guess here's what we'll do. You, the listeners, you can report. You can report. I'll try to get Simon on the phone. So, whatever happened. So people started to talk, open the phone, people start to report, get their report, right? Their listeners, they're giving a report, right? Simon gets on the hotline. I answer the hotline. Hey, Simon, there's nothing on the tape. Are you going to report to the listener? We can put you on the air right now. No. I said, no. Look, here's the running the tape. See, there's nothing on it. I'm sorry. It's funny to me. And he said, oh my God. And he hung up. And I said, Simon, the people, Simon? Well, your station manager is not reporting, so let's keep on reporting. So for the rest of the hour, they're listening to the report. So it's interesting to me. Oh, then the next, I sort of really, they said I was getting in trouble. He called me in, and they made a memo. They didn't put my name in the memo, but they made a rule that you could know if the reporter somehow you're no, you can't just open the phone and you can't do what I did. Let's put it that way. So it's interesting to me that they have a program on WBA now called Report to and from the Listeners. I'm just trying to tell you. I'm not saying I'm responsible for that program, but I'm trying to say these things come in cycles. There's always it is what it is, right? Back to the point, right? The point really is stay focused on what you have to do. When you do something, it'll eventually it's in the zeitgeist or whatever. It's in the ether. It's in the whatever it is. And these things are cycles, and the current will come back again. So what you have established, even if you don't get credit for it, don't worry about it. You don't need no credit. You're a human being. You're connected. Don't worry about it. But it'll somehow reappear, like that. So right now, I'm just having what I'm figuring right now. Now I got to get to Ethiopia. I know. Don't worry about it. I got to get to Ethiopia in September because there's the Caribbean and Africa getting together and they having a conference on reparations. I need to be there. So now I got to plot and plan, and unfortunately I got to do what I usually don't do. I got to make some money, get to police, so we'll see what happens, right? So anyway, but you got to stay focused. So what I'm trying to say is like from now until I go to the States in May, I got to really pay attention to what's happening in the U.S. But I'm having more into what's happening in Africa. When I get to the U.S., I'll see what happens. But then I focus mainly on. I don't want to hear nothing about no U.S. I don't want to hear nothing about this being rated, that being rated. They're going to gut this program. They're going to gut that program. It'll come. What I'm trying to say, it'll come through. If it's important, as my grandmother used to say, when we was on welfare, we had a phone. Right? You only had one phone in the house. It was a dollar phone. Right. This is back in the 50s and early 60s. And we was on welfare, so we had to hide the phone because you couldn't have a phone in your house. I kid you not. Anyway, so sometimes the phone would ring when we're eating dinner because we had everybody was around the dinner table. We were sacred. I don't know. Grandmother at the head of the table. And my younger sister was there. Sisters was there. I'm sitting over here. My brother's over here. And the phone would ring. And she said, if it's important, they'll call back. That's logic, right? So I'm trying to say, if something's important, it'll get through to you. That's it. That's our Grand Rising Report. I'll talk to you another time. Take care. Bye.